Hey, if you're overwhelmed with all the information out there about natural health options, solutions, and supplements, this episode hopefully will clear it up for you. It's about the truth and narrowing it down and speaking in clear language. I'm tired of all the hype out there and not getting the satisfaction. Today, you'll learn whether it is the excess or the depletion that's holding you back from experiencing your optimal health. Are you feeling hot or cold? What does even that mean? Do you suffer from migraines or skin dryness? Let's go. So, we're continuing our series on women supporting women, and I'm excited to get to welcome Andrea Marsh in today's episode. We're going to talk about a lot of natural solutions, and specifically, how does this theory of Chinese medicine, which involves pressure and herbs and natural things, help everyday health and wellness? Have you ever wondered if you could resolve menopause symptoms naturally? I mean, we're talking anxiety, vaginal and skin dryness. And we're really going to get into how does living holistically, your mind, your body, your spirit, actually make you happier. Hey, I'm Hillary Baggett, host of Hill Talks Momentum in Midlife. As an occupational therapist turned entrepreneur after 50, I am on a mission to connect, motivate, and inspire women over 40 to know that no matter what is going on in your body, mind, spirit, or business, you can reach for that dream and know you are not alone as we create the Women's Midlife Network. Hey, are you a woman wondering what is happening to you? And you would like some help in your everyday health and wellness? Are you someone who would really prefer to go all natural and how to handle perhaps even anxiety, skin dryness, and dare I say, vaginal dryness? Well, if you're into holistic practices, which means the whole person, the body, the mind, and the spirit, because we are all these things in the body for sure, then you're going to love my guest today. Meet Andrea Marsh. She is a Chinese medicine practitioner, a shiatsu practitioner, and her perspectives will shed so much light. I know you will enjoy this episode. And welcome, Andrea. Oh, so excited you're here.
Hi, Hillary. Thanks for inviting me.
As we are continuing on with our discussion of women supporting women, it was so natural to reach out to you to discuss because I've known you now for several years at this point, and we've had so many discussions. So let's just dig right in. Are you ready?
Yes.
Well, good. Well, one of our previous episodes that we've actually talked about was on Chinese medicine, but we're going to get a little bit deeper on that. So, Andrea, how does the theory of Chinese medicine help everyday health and wellness?
Well, Chinese medicine taps into something that Western lifestyle doesn't. So, Western lifestyle is very much about excess, having it all, pushing yourself, overdoing things, and that it's almost a badge of honor that we go with. Well, of course, I'm stressed. I'm a busy, successful XYZ. And I think you all know yin and yang, the black and white circular model. And that in Chinese medicine is our kind of diagnosis model for health. And as well as all the excesses, which is yang, we have all something called depletions and deficiencies, which come under the yin banner. And actually, this is where a majority of health issues lie. So, for example, if you've got an achy elbow and you've just bashed it and it's red and throbbing, you know to take a painkiller, you know to apply a cooling gel, and that's called excess. That comes under the yang banner. But if just every day you just go, I've just got this achy elbow every single day of my life now, And I've tried all the cooling gels and painkillers don't work. And that's kind of the end of it in that respect. But when you hop into Chinese medicine, and this isn't just for your elbows and your joints, this is for every aspect of life. The Chinese side of it is actually, it's a deficiency. There's something missing. We need to look for what you can't see, what's not there. And actually, when you start looking at the world in that way, it starts helping you resolve all of those health issues and life issues that just the Western way of looking at the world can't handle. Just the Western way of things doesn't look for the stuff that isn't there.
Right. And I think for a lot of people, including me, when we first started talking about it, I'm like, Chinese medicine feels very, very different than the Western method, because it is, and it's far older, and it can be a little bit overwhelming. And not a lot of Americans, I will say, are very experienced in the wisdom of Chinese medicine. Is there a way to kind of make it sound, I don't necessarily mean sound more Western, but to translate it, to kind of bring it into the middle where people can understand?
This is what I try to do, because I'm not with my clients. I'm not going to go, oh, you're key deficient in this or that, because it means nothing to them. But I think when you start with hot and cold, it's the simplest thing you can start with. So I get clients to, migraines is a perfect example. I think just the assumption is all migraines are hot. But actually, when we break it down, they can be hot. They can be hot on the forehead. They can be cold on the forehead. They can be hot on the neck. They can be cold on the neck. And actually, what a majority of migraines is cold constricted muscles. So the simplest tests we can do is like with our hands, because if your hand feels hot when you touch a body part, that body part is cold. If your hand feels cooling, then that body part is hot. And I just take these baby steps, because if I can get people just starting to do those simple tests on maybe their lower back or over their kidneys or their neck or their forehead, or even on their forearms, their wrists, then this is just baby steps, because it really is principles of Chinese medicine. And I think what Chinese medicine can get confused with a lot is herbal medicine. And herbal medicine is very good, but then that can also be confused with when you hear these stories of powdered rhino's horn and all the nasties out there. So they're all different factors. We have nothing to do with powdered rhino's horn. Herbal medicine is flowers and roots and mushrooms. But I'm not a herbalist. I'm come from the theory which I had to use for my learning shiatsu. And shiatsu is like, what acupuncture points do you press with my fingers? That's the shiatsu element. But actually, that's the tip of the iceberg. And then it sits on what is the theory behind it. And that's the Chinese medicine. So we just try to break it down into simple things.
That was so helpful, because sometimes we need to understand what is it and what's it not, right? And then it makes it really clear, because my mind totally goes to being in China and Singapore and seeing the herbs in an herbalist thing. And I thought, okay, is that Chinese medicine? And no, it's not.
But it is. But what they've done there, whereas I press the acupoints on the body, or an acupuncturist might put needles in, the herbalist will give you the herbs. But what we've all had to do behind the scenes is learn the theory of traditional Chinese medicine. And then we put our modality on the top of that. So that a herbalist modality is their herbs. My modality is shiatsu, which is the acupressure. But also I take the theory and say, hey, why don't we just use that to live by? Somebody else might have written a book. Other people might do qigong. So these are all the different ways of using the theory of Chinese medicine.
Oh, I love how clear you've made that of modalities. And as an occupational therapist, we use modalities. Sometimes it might be ultrasound. It might be different techniques of controlling pain or helping people get to the right solution. So that is really helpful. And I just had a clarifying question on the temperature. When you say if you touch, is it touching our own bodies, the difference between the hot and the cold?
Yeah.
because I think about an American mom that will often put like her cheek to her child's forehead or her hand. So it's not how we feel someone else, it's how we feel our own. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, but it's also how you feel somebody else. But if I'm teaching people to do it, then it's on themselves. But yes, it might be somebody saying, my gosh, your hands are burning hot. But actually, what I'm feeling is freezing cold because they're cold. So they're feeling my body heat and I'm feeling their cold condition.
That makes me feel exponentially better when I would feel like heat in my hands and I would touch like one of my children or husband, and they would say, your hands are on fire, but
Yeah.
maybe they were cold. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. But then the next question is it pleasant? Because if I put my hands, say when I broke my ankle and I was like in the hospital screaming for ice, if I put my hand on my ankle, then that would have been unbearable. But if you say you've got period pains, then when something warm is applied, then that is pleasant. So it tells us what the underlying kind of condition is depending on whether the heat applied is pleasant or not, whether cold applied is pleasant or not. But we always start with warmth.
I love that because so often we are not empowering people to speak up and be heard. What is pleasant for you? What is working for you as an individual? Because there are so many modalities out there, but what works for one person may or may not work for someone else. And that's the individual treatment of it.
And
It's
it's
so
and
much more
it's
clear.
we've got quite scientific minds. That's the schooling we've had. So I'll ask a question and then somebody pauses and they're obviously thinking how to answer it correctly. And I'm going, then there's not a correct answer. And they'll go, oh, well, I feel it's okay. It's doing this. I go, but do you like it? It's in the like or not. If your body likes it, it is right. If you're giving me an answer of, yes, I feel it's therapeutic and you can carry on, but inside you're going, ouch, 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 that hurts, then that's not right. That's Chinese medicine is about, it's got to feel good.
Well, I think giving women permission, especially since that's who we're talking about,
Yeah.
supporting women,
Yeah.
of get in touch with our bodies and what does feel good? What do you like? And being able to communicate that first with yourself and then with the provider.
Yeah, because it takes you out of your head. It takes a few sessions. And if you have these sessions regularly, then you learn quicker. But it takes us out of the just the mental stressy headspace that we're always in. And you start communicating with your body and you start feeling things. And that's where the power is starting to register and recognize what your body is feeling. And you can come up with any words under the sun. I had a client today who's really started to connect with this now, and she said, is it weird that I'm saying these things? I said, no, I'm Chinese medicine. This all makes perfect sense if you're feeling tizzly this and empty that and fragile this and something the other, because that's you listening to all your different body parts and they're telling you what's wrong. That's music to my ears. It's doing my job for me.
Fantastic. I mean, I just think about like when someone gets a massage, and I'll use myself for an example, and I just finally got one yesterday, and it had been probably 2 months. And generally, I like massage, and not everyone likes touch.
Yeah.
But it is our responsibility to have that kind of communication with the person working on us of, is it too hard? Is it too soft? Because gentle touch for some of us feels painful, whereas too much pressure can also feel painful. And it's not the person experiencing the treatment's job to tolerate whatever's happening to them. We are to engage in that kind of communication relationship.
Absolutely, because shiatsu really, especially Zen shiatsu, which is what I do, is about the gentle touch. And you're right, gentle touch is painful because gentle touch is tapping into the emotions. That's when the body's really starting to speak. Very deep, heavy tissue type massages are actually bypassing the emotions of the body. And you might feel great at the time, but you might not feel great 2-3 days later. But with the gentle touch, which is supporting and releasing, and funnily enough today, because I do dogs as well, had a dog this morning and he was really clamping his left leg to his chest. But when he allowed me to go in, we did a lot of heart work, and that was very gentle, just fingertips, just going in and just holding. And he relaxed and he opened up. So there's no communication needed there. The dog started to trust and started to release his whole shoulder. So it's this incredible gentle touch, very powerful.
I love it. And that kind of resonates with the craniosacral therapy that I practice as well. And just because sometimes deeper pressure can feel more calming, sometimes it doesn't allow everything to flow. That's really great. Well, I think I want to transition next to, we're going to talk about some menopause symptoms. And I've already got two in mind so that we'll keep it focused. But
Okay.
I know your focus is helping women resolve their symptoms naturally.
Yeah.
And how can women resolve? And I'll just pick these two. You can have your favorites as well. Well, first, do you have a favorite symptom that you like to help people overcome?
Oh, I never thought about a favorite menopause symptom.
Well, I mean,
think actually probably the one I'm most passionate about because it's soul destroying, and there is sometimes a simpler solution to it is anxiety.
well, that was my number one.
Aha. That's good then.
That is good. Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about resolving anxiety naturally, because some people are either opposed to medications or they don't respond well to it, but there are some natural solutions out there.
Yeah. So my first question is always to people with anxiety, do you think it starts in the head or the gut? And I would say 9 times out of 10, they say it starts in the head. And the answer is it starts in the gut. And again, we're just in this society where we're trapped in our heads and we question everything. And unfortunately, that questioning and worrying sets up quite a negative catch-22 cycle between the gut and the brain. It's called the gut-brain axis. So if your brain is telling your body you're stressed and anxious, your body is then going to release the hormones to say you're stressed and anxious, which you're then going to register because you're thinking negatively as anxiety, and it goes round and round and round. And you always need some sort of intervention. And as I'm a physical body worker, obviously physical body work is a very good way of intervening. But when we went COVID, I had to help people without seeing them. And I really thought about it and broke it down and looked. I've been a lifelong, anxiety has come and gone throughout my life. And when I understood anxiety with the studying Chinese medicine, it went. So my lifelong anxiety went with studying Chinese medicine. So when it came back in my menopause, I was really annoyed. And it was there every single day. So I had to break it down and look at it again. And this is why I hit on that anxiety, specifically in menopause, is a physical change in the body. And so then we have to intervene and do something physically. And the simplest way I can describe it is we're stressed human beings, and our adrenals, which release the adrenaline, which leads on to anxiety, it's just like a leaky tap. And so we have to fix that leaky tap. So there's a great herbal called ashwagandha, and that just fixes the leaky tap and just calms this continual drip, drip, drip of anxiety. So that's doing something physically, but your body is going to be deficient in vitamins and minerals. So you need to become nutritionally rich as well. And it tends to be a lot of lifelong anxious people tend to have some sort of relationship that's not good with food as well. So the two are really going together. And then you can add IBS in there as well. But one of my major tips, and for the women that get it and it works for them, but it's going back into your headspace and it's severing the emotional attachment to the anxious feeling. Because anxiety is exactly the same feeling as excitement. It's the gut is releasing adrenaline into your system. And when you're a kid, it's excitement. Because it's your birthday and something nice is going to happen, but you're now in your menopause. It could be a birthday, you could be going out to lunch, but actually you're now registering it as a negative and registering it as anxious. So if you can actually step back and go, this is actually a chemical squirting into my gut too easily. I divorce myself of my emotional connection to it because it's not a head thing. A lot of women go, I'm actually really happy. I don't know why I'm anxious. And then they're questioning it and worrying about it. And it's going round and round. I go, you don't need to, because I'm telling you, the feeling is in your gut. It's adrenaline squirting into your gut and then having all these knock-on effects. And if you say, actually, I'm going to sever my emotional connection, you actually stop overstimulating it. So that in itself is powerful. Then you add in the ashwagandha that seals the leaky tap so it can't drip so much. And then you go to the root cause, which is I am vitamin and mineral depleted. That's the Chinese medicine. And actually, if I become nutritionally rich, cortisol, which is the hormone released with adrenaline, that does its job of de-stressing you and it goes away. And then a whole host of symptoms just disappear. When we were actually just going for anxiety as number one symptom, but you would get rid of your achy joints, your sleep would be better, your IBS would be better. So in a nutshell, that's what I look at to help people resolve menopause anxiety.
That is huge. I mean, for the listeners on the podcast, I'll also pop this video over on the YouTube channel, but my face has just been like, yes, that's me. And I didn't want to interrupt. That's amazing. I mean, I even just thought of 10 people right away who I need to send this episode to because it's a game changer for so many. Wow. Wow. And, I think when our hormones change, I think there's been a relationship that's been found. And I think you taught me this as our estrogen and progesterone are changing with age and the menopausal process, post-menopausal women, and even the perimenopausal.
Yeah, it starts in peri, yeah.
That we really notice that, wait a minute, I'm feeling more anxious. And then it's the fear cycle of, is this just going to keep going and getting worse?
That triggers it to keep going and get worse, yeah.
Right. Oh, wow.
It's the decline, starts with the decline of progesterone, which is kind of the calming hormone, and the disparity between low progesterone and now unnaturally high estrogen allows women to become more anxious in that respect. But the hormones I was talking about were adrenaline and cortisol, but that it's the interplay of the whole endocrine system. But I just try to simplify it.
I like that so much. Wow. Thank you on that one. Well, I was going to pick my second favorite choice, but do you have a second favorite after anxiety for helping women?
I'll go with yours.
Well, mine's going to come to like skin and vaginal dryness. We're talking about women, we're talking about our body parts, and it can be your skin here, but it's our skin everywhere and our tissue everywhere that dries out.
Of course, vaginal dryness, and that can lead on into a whole load of things if you don't help it. So vaginal dryness, so the skin starts to lose its elasticity and its ability to hold onto lubrication when it loses collagen. So there's a direct link between loss of estrogen and decline of collagen, which is why, you might start noticing wrinkles, sagging jowls. And I learned years ago from a radiologist, if you're sagging on the outside, you're sagging on the inside. That stayed with me. And it's a very important message because you're also looking at trying to avoid prolapses. And then very importantly, if we're talking about loss of collagen, is hardening of the arteries, or arterial stiffness as it is now, because that's your heart health, and then that has a knock-on effect to hot flushes. So I can link vaginal dryness to hot flushes because, again, this is the beauty of Chinese medicine, is it all comes back to, it's not what the surface symptoms are, it's what is at the root cause of those surface symptoms. So in Western terms, they'll go, oh yes, it's loss of estrogen, take HRT. Whereas I go, we come back to, it's really important to me to understand about lubrication of the body. I mean, fluids are up there in Chinese medicine. We're all about the fluids. So it's about, so you've got a depletion of something in your fluids. So I work at it that way. And actually, one of the most important vitamins you can take, I can see you're on the edge of your seat for this, you're not going to believe it. The wondrous vitamin is vitamin C.
I'm shocked. Okay. I thought it was going to go into the omegas. I thought it was, my mind is like jumping of all things, which is one of my challenges.
It's so simple as to be crazy, isn't it? Vitamin C, and we're talking about high doses. We're talking like about 2,000 milligrams a day, but vitamins, and you separate it out because it's easily weed out. Vitamin C boosts your collagen internally. So boosting collagen helps elasticity. and helps. And if you're boosting the collagen, you're going to hold on to the lubrication. So 2 important things for vaginal dryness. Also 2 important things for hardening of arterial stiffness, rather, so that to ward off any heart issues in the future, to support not getting prolapses. But I always say never take a vitamin in isolation, take the whole lot and then add in uber amount of certain vitamins and minerals. Also, there are herbs, herbal blends that help with the skin and down there. Vitamin E is another good one. But it's basically about it comes down to nutrition. Because actually, if your body is nutritionally rich, because when we're stressed, the stress hormone cortisol, to do its job, wants vitamins and minerals, and it does its job of de-stressing you and it goes away. But actually, if it's not got the vitamins and minerals, it has to leach them from everywhere else in your body. So you're going to feel that as everything from achy joints, stiff neck, stiff muscles, your sleep at 4 a.m., and the dryness of your vagina. It's going to leach the vitamins and minerals from wherever it can to do the job. So to help it do its job, feed it. But the thing is, we're now in a time of excess because we've released too much adrenaline. And every time we release adrenaline, we release cortisol. So you've got too much cortisol in your body because you're too stressed. So then you need the high amounts of nutrition to help your body deal with the stress it's in to go away. And until you turn this cycle around, you're going to have nasty symptoms like hot flushes, anxiety, brain fog, vaginal dryness. I think I say there's the big 5. And if you just attempt to resolve one of the big 5, you're going to knock off all the other lesser symptoms.
Wow. I mean, wow. It's really, fueling the body. And I think one of the things I notice, both in me and people that I interact with, is that women get to 40 and 50 and 60, and they're like, I don't feel like cooking anymore. I don't want to spend the time prepping the vegetables, having the soups. How many vitamins do I want to take? And it's essential. And it's a way to love ourselves, body, mind, and spirit of your body so much needs these things.
Yeah. And it's because of the high levels that we live life at. It's that 24/7 society we're in, that you're doing a full-time job, you're looking after a family, you're then squeezing in the gym, and it's probably to the detriment of your sleep. And this just isn't the way women have lived their lives traditionally. So if you're going to live your life at this high level, your nutrient levels need to be up. There's a reason why professional athletes retire in their 30s. But the everyday woman is not knowing this. The knowledge is just not there at the moment, unless people like me tell people like you.
Well, exactly. And I mean, I love so much of your knowledge. I mean, I wish we could download your brain and then get AI to organize it all for us, right? So that we
I'd like that too.
Right. And so, yeah, my mind is just blown. So before I move on to my next question, I just wanted to clarify, is collagen something important to add, or do we just start with the multivitamins, the extra C, so we get the absorption, and the E to see how that does with our...
Yeah, that's the starting point. It is the starting point. And I had, just to say, so 3-4 years ago, I had an ankle operation after an accident, and it wasn't healing. I was using the NHS, and it wasn't healing. So I had to take matters into my own hands, which I should have done sooner. And I went for absolutely top of the range supplements, and everything healed up in 2 weeks. So supplements work. And one of those supplements was collagen, because it was skin healing. And I'd researched and found skin healing wasn't as good when you're in the perimenopause. And I was like, and that led me into why isn't skin healing as good in the perimenopause? So I was on a lipid soluble vitamin C. So it went straight into my bloodstream, so I went really top supplements. And then the byproduct of that was, I was like, oh my gosh, my face is toning up, so. But do you take collagen? Or so I took collagen and vitamin C together and noticed a real difference. Then of course life takes over and you stop buying these things. I'm human like anybody else. So I always say I'm not let's crack a walnut with a sledgehammer. I'm like, let's start small and build up, because you've got to check out that you've not got intolerances or reactions. And I don't want somebody to waste a lot of money when actually you start with something smaller and you build up. So yes, for those people that want to go out and buy the top end products, go for it. But for everybody else, start with vitamins and minerals. Yes, the uber vitamin C. And if you're actually not feeling enough of a change or a change soon enough, try collagen. What collagen? The one a lot of people don't want to take bovine collagen, but I think the one that really works is the one that's a blend of bovine, poultry, and marine, because there are 10 types of, well, there's 5 main types of collagen, and you only get the 5 types if you go across the 3 animal types. If you just stick to marine collagen, it's got type 1 or type 1 and type 2, but we need type 3, 5, and 10. So don't just go for one that just gives you better facial skin. I was looking at something for bones, joints, tendons, ligaments, everything. So yeah, I went for the mixture. I'm always asked, what's the best collagen? That's still the big question mark. I know the one I like. I know the one I put my mum on. I know the one I say to my clients. There's lots of collagen boosters out there. Collagen boosters normally have hyaluronic acid and vitamin C in. And then marine collagen is everywhere. I'm still not convinced marine collagen on its own is good enough. And now there's vegan collagen, which a client wanted to go on to. So I researched it and I found out, again, it's similar to, I thought actually vegan collagen might have the whole range of collagen. So I got excited, but it turns out it was only, I think, type 2 collagen. So no, I didn't bother with that one.
I so appreciate you researching this. And that's what I love about your brain, is that you're not just going to read something once and then recommend it to a patient. You have researched it and tried it and compared.
Now on collagen.
Right. And it's so overwhelming. I mean, for those of us who know nothing about it, and I'll tell you, you go into the vitamin and mineral and supplement aisle, it is mind-blowing, overwhelming.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you even just saying, I didn't even know that there were 5 types of collagen, and then the numbers. Oh my goodness. So what you're saying is vitamin C being liquid soluble sometimes is better?
Well, it's the whole thing about the passing through the gut, and water soluble vitamins, which is pretty much everything apart from A, D, and K, or all the other vitamins and minerals are water soluble, which means you can't take too many. So that makes them safe. You weed them out if you don't need them. So vitamin C almost has to be a time release, little and often, so that you keep it in the body. But when I had one that was in a kind of a gel, that one was to bypass the weeing it out. So I had about 4,000 milligrams in a gel a day. So, I went high. And for anybody that worries about overdosing on vitamins and minerals, the NRV values on the back of packets at the moment, those were designed back in about the 1930s. The amount of vitamin D that is recommended is enough to keep you just about alive. It's so out of date with modern humans almost 100 years later.
Wow.
But yes, and vitamin D actually has been recategorized as a hormone now. So it's so much research has been done into vitamin D since COVID, and it's another great one for hormonal women, especially if you've got low moods or lung issues or brain issues or bone issues.
Right. Wow. I mean, my mind's just blown, and I know that just listeners on the podcast can't see my facial reactions. But it's just amazing. And I think in some ways our nutrition, we think we're eating healthy. And a lot of the times the dilution of the minerals in even our fruits and vegetables and produce and grains has diminished over time
I have to have this conversation the most when somebody says, but I eat well. And I go, yes, that's great. That's always the starting point. If you can get it from fresh foods, that's great. However, I think our apples are depleted by 82% of magnesium since the 1950s. Statistic like you'd need to eat 50 bowls of spinach now to equate to the nutrients of 1 bowl of spinach 50 years ago. Soil depletion is at the cause of all of this. And don't even get started on GMO or anything like that.
I know. That's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
And you're not alone on that. I will do a series in the future on nutrition and what we're eating, how we're preparing it, and how to store our food to make it easier. Because I think that's a barrier for women too, is they think, I want something with flavor and it tastes good, and I'll make sure to not get off on that tangent. But there's ways around that too. I think the biggest thing is knowing that we can't just take our all of our supplements in the morning and think that's going to be enough for us throughout the day.
No, because some of them are best taken at bedtime and some of them need to be split up. I do have a guide that explains all this.
Oh, good. I'll add that in the show notes then.
Yeah, I've got a free guide that explains all this because, yeah, it's most frequently asked questions. So some of them are better when you wake up, some in the morning by lunchtime, something else, vitamin C, like I say, throughout the day, and a few other things are better just before bed. So I take 3 supplements at bedtime. And those are the ones I probably only remember to take every single day because it's become the bedtime ritual, whereas I'm a bit hit and miss on the pill box in the kitchen with my supplements in. But at least I get my bedtime ones. So,
but I think that's a brilliant point to point out for people of figure out where's the location that's going to work for you and what's your optimal time. And if it's not the optimal time of day to take that supplement, but at least you're remembering to take it, that's better than forgetting it all, right? But how to kind of integrate that system into your day to set you up for success on feeling good. I mean, we're not trying to sell you things. We're trying to educate you and support you so that you feel great and can do whatever it is that you want to do throughout your day and your lifetime.
Yeah, and I picked this up from a lot of mindset coaches, actually, that a morning ritual is so important. And the further I get on, I realize just how important. And, you know, for them, it might be nutritious smoothies, but it's their brain supplements. And then it's the this, that, and the other. And they all have these somewhere between 7 and 10 step kind of rituals in the morning, and this is why they're at the top of their game as in whatever field they're in. And we can take from that as menopausal women. And I've just come off a call with, if I took all your supplements, I'd be eating it for dinner. And I get, yeah, we have to work it out and work out the right ones. But when you've spent 40 odd years putting incredible stresses into your life, do you know what? If you want to turn this around, you have to do some of it. You have to put in the work.
Absolutely. Putting in the work. Oh, goodness. And yeah, I'll do another special on morning rituals as well, because again, it's not prescriptive of that. If you do exactly what I do, you will feel like I do, but it will help give people a guide of you're on your way towards, and you figure out and you tweak what's right for you in order to move forward and to feel good, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I think that brings me to my third question and I think we've kind of talked about it, but how does living holistically make you happier?
Oh, massively. I don't even know where to start. When people meet me now, they go, "Oh, but you're so great. You're so this, you're so that." And I go, "You didn't know me before I learned how to live like this. I was a miserable child, a miserable teen, and a miserable 20-something, always searching for something, always knowing there was something out there. And I was lucky. I first found cranial osteopathy at 21, and that really started to help. But I found the Chinese med, but I had to hit a crisis. My dad had to die. Then you have to go through crisis. And then thank heavens, I found shiatsu. But I just needed some sort of holistic therapy to help me. And then that opened up a whole new world. And it's everything. It's from feeling physically better. And when you feel physically better, you start to feel emotionally better. You can't feel happy if your body's not working correctly, because 90% of your hormones, your brain chemistry come from your gut health. And what I can look back now and see is I've always had an impeded gut health. So it's very difficult to be happy when your body's wrong. But then also it's a mentality as well. And I found a fantastic little book called Stop Thinking, Start Living by Richard Carlson, which turned my mindset around completely. And just, wow, really? I can change the way I feel. I just thought this was me. And he said, no, you can, we've just been socially conditioned as children. And now you can think the way you want to think, and which was so powerful, just to be told in one line, you don't have to be like this. You have the power to change it. This is how you change it. And his books spelt it out so simply. It's why I've always tried to continue that kind of methodology in the way I explain things. So everything from preparing for autumn, oh, the days are getting shorter, the days are getting cold. I don't like the cold, I don't like the dark, so I don't like autumn. So holistically, how do you eat to combat that? What are the foods to eat to make? And if I do lovely, rich, nutritious soups and stews, I get through autumn better. I've always felt the cold. So holistically, how do I combat feeling the cold? So I very rarely feel cold now. I used to always have cold hands, don't have cold hands, so it's every aspect of my mind, body, and spirit, because you can't do mind and body without there being a spiritual element as well. So the spiritual element is everything from just the way you see life to the way you help people. Obviously, the shiatsu, being Japanese, is going to have more associations with Buddhism. But actually, there's just some of the quotes are just so deep, and you just one little quote and you're just like, wow, yes, it's mind-blowing. And it's just, sometimes I don't have to read the books, just the quote is enough to start me thinking differently.
That's right. It's little actions, small steps, bite-sized baby steps that take us towards the big change. And this is not a limiting kind of practice. This is a opening up so that we have complete freedom to live healthy and do whatever it is that we want, to be happy. I mean, so many people think of happy as a superficial feeling, but it's deep contentment, great joy. And that's what we're trying to get to. Oh, goodness. Well, I know we could talk forever, and I wanted to kind of transition as we start to bring it to a close, but I wanted to compliment you, and you'll have to check out the YouTube video. Andrea is wearing a lovely top, and I noticed it. And when I said, Andrea, you just look incredible today, and I just love your top, do you remember what you said to me?
I think I said, oh, it's my menopause top.
That's right. And my mind goes to, okay, does that mean that it's the comfort, the fashion, the style, it's breathable, avoiding hot flushes, or just feeling great and beautiful? What was it for you?
It was a mixture. It was I've tried to treat myself a few times to a top or an outfit to wear for menopause talk. So yes, you're in front of an audience. Yes, you're going to get hot. You want to feel comfortable. You want to look nice. And it was just the top that I tried on and ticked all the boxes. So yeah, it's about 4 or 5 years old, and it's my go-to, especially on Zoom, because obviously it's linen. So I do like fresh natural materials like linen and cotton. So yeah, and I think the color's nice as well. So.
Well, it is fabulous. And I think for women to understand that you can look good, feel comfortable and confident in what you're wearing for what occasion. And a lot of people don't realize when we're on a stage together, the lights can be just blazing hot. And I love that even for the Zoom call, you've prepared what makes you feel good as well.
Yeah, I treat a Zoom call as though I'm standing up to present. To me, there's no difference. So.
That's right. That's right. Well, I'm going to ask this fun fact about you, and this is how we're going to close for this segment today. And I know I'll have you back, so I don't have to get all my questions in straight away. But the fun fact that you shared with me, that it's not a dirty little secret, but it's kind of a guilty pleasure, I think you used it as.
Yeah,
can you share that?
Well, it's a twist on guilt, because women can very easily feel guilty. Oh, that was Chinese medicine 101 that I learned at college. And so I like to, when I feel like I'm being a little bit naughty and remembering I'm my own boss, then I sneak off early for an hour. And, I had years of feeling guilty for doing that. I think I run my own business. I should do this, I should do that. Now I'm like, well, I'm going to sneak off a little bit early, and I turn it into a giggle, it's, the only person I'm cheating at the end of the day is myself, but I don't see it that way. I just think, oh, it's 4 o'clock. I'm going to clock off. And no, we can't all do that with our work, but it's taking those things where you feel guilty and turning it on its head and seeing it as being a little bit naughty and a little bit getting away with it and smiling about it. Because to feel guilty is very, very negative and has a negative impact on the body. But actually to go, oh, do you know, this is a little naughty, I'm getting away with it, and have a smile about it.
Well, I love that you shared it with us, because sometimes when we work for ourselves, we don't even get to tell anyone of like, I'm taking time off early today. And
yes, I'm giggling at taking time off from myself, which I just think is hilarious.
it is hilarious. And releasing that shame and just realizing that you're going to be a better person and do more and be more productive when you give yourself that time. So, well, I know we could talk for hours, but I'll save more for next time. Andrea Marsh. Oh, how amazing. I just can't wait until next time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Hilary. Take care.
Well, my mind was blown in that conversation with Andrea. How was it for you learning about the balance of the yin and the yang, the excess and the depletion? You know, what really resonated for me as an American is the badge of honor that we wear as being busy and stressed. And it's really time to break that. I really love learning about her gentle shiatsu touch technique. So it's hitting those points for pressure on the body, but without creating a stress response or resistance. And I really love that we talked about the anxiety and how to treat that naturally. I mean, ashwagandha, I haven't used it yet, but I'm going to. And then the vitamin C and vitamin E, plus the collagen. I mean, I learned so much. Who knew there were 5 types of collagen? She does have a free nutrition guide. She does have some free anxiety guides. I mean, Andrea Marsh is a gift at Cotswold Menopause and Natural Solutions with Chinese medicine. So I am really excited to develop a consistent morning ritual, and I hope you will look her up. All right, here's where I need your help. I want you to help me let women entrepreneurs and business owners who are over 50 know that there is a place where they can come to connect, learn, and get inspired at the Women's Midlife Network. You can share this episode with them today. Whether you're clicking those 3 dots to share the episode or following that little box with the arrow up. Thanks so much. Thanks so much for listening. If you've made it this far, I appreciate you being an essential part of the Women's Midlife Network. We're connecting women. We're sharing stories and inspiring change. And not just for now, but for decades to come. I am so thankful for you, and I always hope you feel the love. Until next time, this is Hilary Baggett with Hill Talks Podcast. Let's move forward in midlife.